Any other nominations? Hearing none. Motion has been made and seconded. Could I have a motion to close nominations?
Sure, I make a motion to close the nominations.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor of closing nominations, raise your hand. Nothing, excellent. All right, so we have to do a public roll call vote for the chairperson. What's that?
Start with Kristen.
Okay. Mrs. DePass?
Sure, Mrs. DePass, yes.
Mrs. Holton?
Yes.
Mrs. Tucker?
Yes.
You can abstain, but you didn't. Mrs. Milad?
Yes.
And Mrs. Maggio?
Yes.
Congratulations, Mrs. Tucker, same as before. You know what you're doing, so I turn the meeting over to you.
All right, so then, now we need to elect a vice chair. Do we have a nomination for a vice chair?
I nominate Ruth Hontham for vice chair.
I second.
Are there any other nominations? So we have to have a motion to close nominations.
I motion to close the nominations.
I second.
All in favor of closing nominations?
Aye.
So we gonna have the roll call. Mrs. Maggio?
Yes.
Mrs. DePass?
Yes.
Ms. Hontham?
Yes.
Mrs. Milad?
Yes.
And myself, Maria Tucker, yes. So congratulations, Ruth. Our new vice chair.
And now secretary.
So, yep, we also need nominations for secretary.
I nominate Kristen DePass.
I second.
Any other nominations? Okay, can I have a motion to close nominations?
Motion to close nominations.
I second.
All in favor of closing nominations?
Aye.
Mrs. Maggio?
Yes.
Ms. Hontham?
Yes.
Ms. DePass?
Yes.
Ms. Milad?
Yes.
And Maria Tucker, yes. So congratulations, Kristen, for continuing as secretary.
Thank you.
All right,
I think that was yours.
thank you.
Pros at that.
Do we want to wait a little bit on the?
Sure.
All right, we'll come back to recognition. So we're going to jump ahead to the Student Advisory Council, and Christina Ayad is here with someone to introduce to us, I think.
Yes. So first, I want to start off by introducing Cameron Lariah. This is my last meeting, sadly. So Cameron's going to be taking over my position. He's attending tonight just to see how I present, just to get a feel for it. So yeah.
To get to know the faces, the people.
Welcome, Cameron.
Would you mind spelling your last name for me?
L-A-R-A-I-A.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, so good evening. So first, to start off with, the week of May 6th, we held Teacher Appreciation Week, where each day we did something for the teachers. We gave little gifts to the teachers every day. We wrote letters to them, made breakfast for them, and did the annual awards to all the staff members. They seemed to be very appreciative of this, and it was a nice week full of smiles. So it was always a good time to host that. On May 17th, we sent our Special Olympians away with a cheer to support them competing. There were so many smiles going on, and it was great to see them all so excited to go and compete. So as for future events, we have Class Day and Field Day coming up at the end of the month, as well as Lock-In. Both of these are on May 31st, and that's all I have for tonight. I really enjoyed reporting to you guys this past year, and I wish my luck and love to you guys in the future. Thanks. Any questions?
Nope, sounds good. Thanks
Okay.
for coming.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much. Good luck
guys.
to you as well.
Excellent job.
Thanks.
Cameron, can you handle that?
I think I
You
can
got it?
I got it.
So, next, we need a motion to approve the minutes from, the April meeting, sorry. Thank you.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from the April 22nd meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do not have any correspondence, I don't think.
I do have one
Okay.
piece that I just got today.
All right.
So I got a letter from the Town of North Brookfield Downtown Development Committee. This is a group that has been put together to work to try to revitalize the downtown area. They're working with the Friends of the North Brookfield Townhouse and whatever other groups, selectmen and town businesses to try to revitalize the downtown area. I met with them last week, last Friday, and had a very nice meeting with them, just updating me on some of the things that they're doing. They have a meeting coming actually Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. at the Senior Center for any interested town residents.
I'm sorry, so when was the meeting again?
It is Wednesday, May 22nd, so this Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. at the Senior Center. We have a concert that night, so it's going to be very hard for us
Yep.
to make it. But one of the things that they asked to do was, prior to the concert, as people are waiting, to show a slideshow that they've created to just inform the community, which I've approved, and I'm going to put it up so parents can see, and anybody who attends our concert, what their plan is. And part of the plan and our involvement is around curriculum and the arts. And so it sounds like a pretty exciting venture that I'm, excited to be part of, and will benefit our kids and our town.
Yeah, it'd be great to see the downtown revitalized. Ms. Powers is ready to give us a presentation on the instructional leadership team, and I assume you have a little introduction as to what that was, just to remind us, right?
Yes. So I've given a couple reports throughout the months about the work of the instructional leadership team, or the ILT, but a couple members are here tonight to also dive in a little deeper about what we're doing. But just to give you an overview, so the instructional leadership team is a group of stakeholders from students, faculty, school committee member, and parents and admin that really look at a couple different specific areas related to instructional leadership. So the goal of the team is to really take a look at different areas across the district and work together to make recommendations on areas of growth and improvement. So just an overview of our members. So we have 3 admin members, 6 teachers, 3 from the elementary school and 3 from the high school. We have 2 student reps, a 9th grader and an 11th grader. We have a school committee member, Maria, and a parent representative, Heather Lucier. So as you can see, it's a big group, but it brings a lot of different viewpoints and areas of focus, which has been really helpful to the work. So there's been 3 real specific areas, I call them the pillars of our work. The first is curriculum, the second is instructional technology, and the third is professional development. So these 3 really fall under the work that I do as the director of curriculum and impact the entire district. So each one has its own objective, which each slide has the objective on it, so we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. But again, we've been meeting monthly and looking at ways in which we can improve these 3 areas, taking some information from different faculty and staff and students and making recommendations for how to move forward. So today we're going to just give you an insight to what are some of the actions that we've taken and plans that we want to move forward. So curriculum subcommittee, Bill and Mr. Evans and Mrs. Priestley are going to present on this group. If you want to come on up. So you can see the objective. These are the members in the subcommittee to review and recommend curricular programming to support the growth and readiness of students. And we've broken this into 2, the elementary school focus areas and then the high school focus areas.
The curriculum subcommittee worked to identify areas of the curriculum that were missing or incomplete, and we collected all of the existing written documents of all the units in every subject in grades K to 12, and then prioritized the work that would need to be done to write those units and complete them. At the same time that work is being done, the subcommittee is also developing a curriculum review cycle to revise and refine the curriculum to address the district's changing needs. This looks different at the elementary school versus the junior senior high school, so I'll speak a little bit about the elementary school focus, and Mr. Evans will talk about the junior senior high school focus. So at the elementary level, the staff is working on asking themselves, well, what are the skills that we expect students to demonstrate by the end of the year? The current report card is a standards-based report card that shows the learning progression that students should be reaching by the end of the school year. What we want to do is design the curriculum to help students acquire those skills. So they're working to define the skills in each subject, each grade level, looking at the report card, looking at the standards, and defining what they should be at each grade level and in each subject, and then evaluating the effectiveness of the current curricula to determine what the needs are, and looking at what areas need to be worked on or revised. High school?
Thanks, Sarah. As she mentioned, our first task was to inventory and prioritize what needed to be done that had not been completed yet as in the written curriculum. So we've done that, and we've got a plan for how what needs to be done is going to get done in what order. The next phase is really sort of where the rubber meets the road, and that's to work with our school change leadership team to talk about what our vision of the graduate is and how we're going to incorporate our school-wide learning expectations into the curriculum, which is focus of a meeting we had today with the faculty during our curriculum time. And just to give you a broad view, every high school should have a vision of what the graduate can, and should know and be able to do when they graduate. And that vision of the graduate is not really a long list of all the curriculum that they might get. It's really about what skills, what transferable skills they will have when they go out into the world. We've identified 10 learning objectives in the high school that we think are critical skills that can be applied no matter where they go and what they do. And our goal, we believe, is to really put those learning expectations at the front of the curriculum. I think in the past what we've done, and I think what many schools have done, is sort of had them off to the side and stayed with the regular curriculum and hoped that those kinds of skills would sort of happen. And in our experience, what that ended up with is nobody really paying much attention to them at all or giving them much serious thought. So our focus in the coming years, I think, will be to put those learning expectations explicitly in the curriculum. This is collaboration. Collaboration is not just something we're going to teach while we're teaching this. We're going to teach you how to collaborate explicitly in 7th grade, again in 9th grade, maybe again in 11th grade. And we're going to help you understand what it is to be a good collaborator so that you can take that skill and go wherever you need to go. And it doesn't matter where you go after high school, you're going to need to collaborate with somebody probably. So that's a skill that we think is transferable, important, and that should be explicitly taught front and center. So that's the goal now for the ILT as well as the SELT, as well as the entire high school faculty, is how to make our learning expectations, and I cited one, there are 10, really the focus of our curriculum so that when students leave, they know they have these transferable skills, they can identify them, they can talk about them fluently, and they can bring them to whatever awaits them after graduation. Any questions about that? Awesome. Back to you, Ms. Bowers.
So the other component of the curriculum subcommittee that they've just begun working on, and is a plan that's going to move us into next year as well, is looking at a curriculum review cycle. So figuring out a 3-year cycle where certain aspects of our curriculum are reviewed within year 1 or year 2 or year 3. So it's a nice systemic way to continue to look at curriculum over time. The next subcommittee is the Instructional Technology Subcommittee. Ms. O'Hara is here to talk about that. Mrs. Tucker is also on the subcommittee, so she pipe in if she'd like to. But this objective is to identify current instructional technology within the district and support teachers in their implementation of the tools.
We got together as a group, and our initial thought was we need to identify the technology that we have within the district at this current time, both hardware and software. We used a survey, a Google survey, to survey the teachers on how they use the technology that we have and what they feel about the amount of technology that we have within the district. The survey of staff in the classroom, 71% use Chromebooks and 42% of the students use iPads. 62% of those students use those devices for research, while 60% use it for word processing. The staff use 86% of desktops, 14% of other, which is their own device or iPad or laptop. 80% of the staff use the devices for grading and 96% for communication. One of the big barriers that we have within our district is not enough devices for all, and our inconsistent internet. So our recommendations for moving forward is the ultimate plan for us would be to do a one-to-one environment for the high school, junior, senior high school. The biggest problem with that is we have to ensure that our network, our infrastructure is viable enough for that type of environment. We need to have a survey of our network. We need to find out the areas of high use, the connectivity, and how much bandwidth each student has per AP access point. The problem we stand now is budget-wise, because technology seems to always take the hit in as far as the budget. So I think as we move forward, we're going to have to make some tough decisions and do some different thought processes on, okay, if we need this, how are we going to get there? And how are we going to make it work for the students and the staff within the district? And those are the recommendations that we thought we would put forward to start the process of gaining a one-to-one environment.
So along with devices, the group also surveyed the different software, so the different either online or actual purchase software that our teachers use to get a bigger sense of what everyone's using within the classroom. So the next subcommittee is our professional development subcommittee. Mrs. Collette was going to be our presenter, but she had a family member pass away yesterday, so she couldn't be here tonight. So I told her I would share the information for her. So the goal of the professional development subcommittee is to collect and review data regarding the professional learning needs of faculty and staff. So far this subcommittee has reviewed the current PD plan and processes. So what are the different types of PDs that we offer? Do we offer kind of those one-time wonders? Are we looking at a coaching model? Are we looking at PD over time? They did a little pilot with creating a feedback form specifically for presenters at our last PD session. So currently the way teachers get their hours is they complete a very generic feedback form for PD, which doesn't truly give the presenters the feedback. So whether those presenters are in-house presenters or consultants coming in, we want to find a way to better give feedback so PD continues to be improved. And then for this fall, I'll talk a little bit more about this in my report, but where we've rolled out our PD pod process district-wide. I'll talk a little bit more about this, but this is something we piloted this year at the junior senior high school that was very successful, which allows a lot of choice and self-directedness in professional development. So that's where that group is at the moment. Any questions about the work of the ILT? And again, I'll continue to report on this team throughout the coming year, so we'll keep you up to date, but we just wanted to ground you in where we are right now.
Do you have a sense of if and how many students have their own devices, and just what the policy on that is?
Want to answer that?
Students can bring their own devices to school. We ask that they check in with myself or whatever, just to ensure that they have some type of antivirus software on them.
Yeah.
They can connect to the student Wi-Fi,
Mm-hmm.
and have access, and they also can establish printers within the district.
Okay, and that's not negatively impacting the Wi-Fi as of now?
No, it's not, because we don't have that many devices.
Yeah.
That if we had Chromebooks or
Right.
whatever type of devices we would like to get throughout, then we would, and we haven't thought this out, but probably mandate that just the one-to-one devices that we're working with will be allowed on the network, not student devices. But right now, it offers them the availability to use a device on the network where without their own device, they probably wouldn't have one to use
Yeah.
through every class.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, is that something, so schools that have one-to-one devices, is that a typical policy?
In some of them it is, that I've researched, some of them, if it's a one-to-one policy, it's just the iPads
Mhm.
or the Chromebooks.
Right.
Now, I think it's Braintree has a one-to-one device and it's all just iPads. Whereas, Leicester has one-to-one devices and it's Chromebooks. So it depends on how the district wants to move forward in as far as devices. And then it's basically, those are designed or connected just to the wire, to the internet or the network, and not bringing in your own device.
Right, I guess what I'm saying, so I'm gonna say that probably 90% of the kids have phones, right, smartphones? And so how, is it, so you change the Wi-Fi password and they don't have any issues enforcing it?
They
That's
would,
what-
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that would be how you would handle getting them off of,
Okay,
their own device.
all right.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Thank you, presenters.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like we probably shouldn't bother to wait for recognition because it's 7:30 now, so
Okay.
why don't we just say people we wanted to recognize?
Sure. So,
And we're sorry they're not here.
yeah, and we'll check in with them tomorrow and relay the message from the school committee. But I think it was May 3rd?
Yep.
May 3rd was National School Lunch Hero Day. And this is a day that was designed to recognize the folks who work in food services in our cafeterias. They are the behind-the-scene, one of those groups of behind-the-scenes folks who make sure that kids have something in the morning, something in the afternoon. They make sure staff has food. They're always there, whether it's, you need, I don't know, paper plates or whatever, because you need them for a class project or whatever. They're always there. Kids who sometimes come to school on a field trip day without a lunch, boom, they have a bagged lunch ready to go. So this is a group that, again, is truly behind the scenes. They're not really recognized. Kids and staff come and go and eat and do their thing, and we forget that every day this group here of 6 ladies feeds over 600 people, which is quite a trick. So,
And what's amazing, I think, at least at the elementary school, and I assume it's the same at the high school, they know all the kids
yeah, it's great.
by name. And also speaking as someone who cooked pancakes and is not what you call a really good chef, they were there helping me make sure those pancakes were tasty for the kids.
So to Diana Ryan, Donna Holmes, Cheryl Johnson, Karen Chisholm, Patty Dugan, and Robin Brown, thank you very much for all that you do every day for all of our kids and our staff.
And I'll be coming for you for a picture.
Be warned.
You're on notice.
All right, so, public presentation. Moving on to the school committee reports. Yeah,
You guys.
okay. Oh, yeah, actually, sorry, school committee reports. Elizabeth, do you want to share what we've been doing since our last meeting? Has there been a lot of developments in our attempts?
Yes, so I guess we're continuing to try to get the word out and advocate and encourage people to write to the Joint Committee of Education to support really two bills, one being the Promise Act, but also another bill that would get a rurality factor into the Chapter 70 formula, S2185. And yeah, I mean, we've continued to email people, post on social media, make phone calls ourselves. I've also been in touch with select board members in neighboring towns, specifically in the Quabbin region, to try to get the word out, because I know that many towns are in the same situation we are in terms of tight budgets. So most recently, Maria has our sort of final last big push. I guess this is all to say that the debate starts tomorrow, the 21st.
Yep, from the Senate.
In the
House
Senate.
had their debate.
So this is really, you know, our last push. And Maria has gone ahead and made beautiful postcards that feature the old schoolhouse. And on the back, just a really short and to the point message. Up until now, we've really been focusing on legislation that would benefit schools in the whole entire area, which we continue to think is important. But this postcard focuses specifically on North Brookfield because one of the concerns that we have is that last year there was a rural school aid grant that was passed toward the end of the summer and that went into effect this fall that allowed for $1.5 million to be distributed to a number of schools in the area that were defined as rural. And North Brookfield, unfortunately, just exceeded the population threshold. That amount has been reauthorized, and there's even an amendment to up the amount to $3 million. But as it stands now, that would not include North Brookfield. So what this postcard speaks to specifically is the necessity of defining rural so that it includes North Brookfield specifically. Because otherwise, it could be that there's rural school aid reform that we then get left out of. So I guess this is one last plea and attempt, or maybe not the last one. But if
Last one for this fiscal year. Right?
yeah, you know, and people who are interested can email either myself or Maria. We're listed on the school website. We've been posting a lot on social media. We have sample emails that we've been distributing, and just the more that they can hear from us, the better. Specifically, Senator Goby, Representative Berthium, and then the two joint chairs of the Education Committee. And we have all that contact info.
Yep.
Did I cover it, Maria?
Yep. I just want to add, you know, when we did our forum back in March, that we chose a little quote from Dr. Seuss from Horton Hears a Who, which is all the Who's are all climbing on top of a flower and saying, "We're here, we're here, we're here." So if we don't all speak together, they're not going to hear us. So please speak with me and Elizabeth and the rest of the school committee. All right, moving on, financial reports.
All right, so in your packet is two reports. One is our district budget and the other is our grant and revolving account ledger. So Ms. LeBlanc and I have gone through the budget, and we are on track to close out the school year. As you know, you can imagine, we're heading towards mid to late May now, and you know, we close out on June 30th. So we're really trying to, over the last couple of weeks, trying to get our ducks in a row in terms of all the closeout that's required as a school district with the state, but also with our town and our town treasurer and accountants to make sure that we're closing out all our ins and outs, what we're bringing in, what we're sending out in terms of the financial piece, which is a huge important part of this. So we are on track. We are, it's certainly, I don't want to say tight because that sounds like we're not making it. We are. We're right where we should be in terms of what's left in the budget and what's left to expend. So that's really good news. You know, we're not scrambling to try to make up anything, and we don't have any huge overages that you'd say, ooh, we missed that one. So things are in pretty good shape there. Many of the things that were ahead balance out over time, you know, whether it depends on the timing of many purchases. Some of the accounts that were overspent, things like subs, as I mentioned in one of our earlier meetings, often has to do with faculty that might be out on a more of an extended leave. So there are transfers between those salary lines to, you know, where an employee was out and didn't get maybe paid, make up for it in those salary lines there. So it is an ongoing process and a challenging process, mostly for Mrs. LeBlanc, thankfully. But certainly she and I work together on that to make sure that we're on track, and we are. In terms of the revolving and grant accounts, again, I know Mrs. LeBlanc has worked with Mrs. Dubuque and Mrs. Powers on our grant accounts, particularly Title I, Title IIA, Title IV, our 240 grant, all of our big grants that are our entitlement grants. And those are 2-year grants, so if, you know, it's really important that we close out the 18 grants more than the 19 grants. If there's some funds left over in 19, they do roll over into the summer. Those grants were designed to roll over because sometimes it's professional development that would happen during the summer, or summer programs that need to be paid for, ongoing professional development, those kinds of things. So those are ongoing and have been are being monitored constantly as we head towards the end. I know Mrs. Dubuque has worked hard to get school choice increments and circuit breaker in, which looks great. The rest of our revolving accounts are in excellent shape. There is an item under new business later to from our PTO to transfer some funds from the elementary school rug account. I think there was, it's on the 3rd page of the grant, bottom of the 3rd page, NBPTO rug is about is $116. They want to transfer that to another account line item, which takes your approval. But overall, all of our grant and revolving accounts are in pretty good shape. And just as an aside, our school roof project is closing out. The landscape is finally able to come with some a slice of good weather we've had, because they haven't been able to put the seed down because of the rain. Too much rain washes it away. We actually have some grass growing out on the Oakham Road side of the school, which is kind of nice to see, where there was mud. And so we've started really closing out that project, which is great.
And we're gonna have a ribbon cutting ceremony, right? When we're
I would
officially
like to.
done?
I would like to. So, any questions about any of the FY19 budget updates?
Anyone got any questions?
Excellent.
So next is the superintendent's report, and you have the superintendent's evaluation, which I know it needs to be done by June 30th, and it
Yep.
will be. So
Okay.
we'll have that,
I trust you.
we'll have that discussion next month. So moving on, we got a food
Yep.
services,
Yeah, so I wanted to check in with you, and I was kind of hoping the ladies would be here, because this is just, for those of you that were on the committee last year, you know, we struggled. We saw some losses. And I gave you an update, I think it was in January, might have been December, but I think it was January. And I added the larger piece so you can get a sort of a view of the year. But the spreadsheet in the packet shows a 17-18 comparison to this year. And you can see that, you know, overall, we have we're really ahead. We're ahead by a lot. This program has been kind of a drain on us over the last couple of years, and significantly drawn funds out of the school budget due to losses. We've made some changes. We have Mrs. Ryan and Mrs. Holmes as our food services director and assistant director. And just kind of, if you want to see kind of the big idea sheet, and look at this, the larger sheet. So the food services program right now is ahead approximately, and I say that, it's about $38,000 ahead. Now, that number doesn't do it justice, and it's not completely accurate, because our food services folks also get paid over the summer, so they don't receive their full salary in the 10 months of the school year. They have some withdrawn during the course, over time, so to speak, so that they do get a check through the summer. That's gonna total about $20,000, just for their salaries through July and August, when they're not working, but they've already worked the hours, I guess is the best way to say it. So you have to subtract that out, so it's not, doesn't show here because we haven't gotten to it yet. And then obviously, Diana and Donna will need to buy any equipment, repair any equipment, and any food supplies that they need to get started. Now, there's nothing major on the horizon, which is great, because if we do have a major problem with a fridge or a whatever, there is, you know, the idea is to have money in there so that it can handle that and to replace anything that needs to be consistently upgraded. So about $38,000 ahead.
Where are you seeing that? Is that number on?
It's not really
Okay.
on there. It's, if you see the subtotal cash in is about 176, and sub expenses paid is 139 in the yellow
Okay. Oh,
lines
gotcha.
at
Yeah.
the end.
Mm-hmm.
Those yellow lines show the monthly in and out, how
Okay.
much, you know, so if you look at July, we took in $9,297 and we paid out zero.
Yep.
So that's how that works. So Sheila will be encumbering the money to pay them. This is a revolving account, so it goes on, but it's been a really positive year for food services after several years of some really challenging times.
It's because they brought back the chicken and gravy.
Whatever it takes, Mrs. Tucker, whatever it takes.
No, the chicken and gravy's great, that's what I've been told.
So I'm really proud of them. They worked really hard and did a lot of great work, and it shows.
They do. They do
Right.
a wonderful job, and it's great to see them. Well, I guess and it's sort of an internal promotion, the two women that are supervising things right now.
Yeah.
So thank you, ladies. So moving on, Mr. Evans. Very short, thank you.
Working on it. Just wrapping up our MCAS testing sessions. Tomorrow and Wednesday will be 10th grade MCAS math tests. We completed all the 7th and 8th grade testing for the year, as well as 7 AP exams. I wanted to give a major shout out to Meg Sears, who's both our AP coordinator and our MCAS coordinator. And on several days, she was both at the same time. Not an easy juggling act, but she pulled it off. And all of our testing so far has been completed beautifully. So 10th grade the next 2 days, and then 9th grade the week after graduation, 9th grade biology. And that will do it for standardized testing for the year. I want to congratulate the cast and crew of Aladdin. If you didn't get to see the show, you missed out. It was great.
It was great.
It was awesome.
And Mr. Kiley, your cameo was wonderful.
I know.
It was okay. It was next to me. I mean,
Well, I'm sorry, you're right. I mean, you did outshine him a little bit there.
Wow, thank you. That
Oh.
was nice. So I do want to just thank the cast and crew and congratulate them. Terrific job. So here we go at the end of year events. We had prom on Saturday, and it's a long list. I'm going to go through it real quick because people should know what's going on in case they want to come by. So we had the spring pep rally today. That was a blast. Spring band concert and art show was on Wednesday evening, was mentioned earlier, at 6 o'clock in the elementary school hallway and auditorium. Senior exams, you don't have to come to that, but that'll start on Friday the 24th and go through Thursday the 30th. Sports award ceremony and dessert buffet will be Tuesday the 28th at 6 o'clock in the elementary school auditorium. Athletes and families are invited. Class Day, a celebration of the seniors, will be on Friday morning, May 31st at 8:30, starting with the parade through the elementary school. Get your tissues ready. Senior banquet will be on Saturday, June 1st at Salem Cross. The commencement exercises for the class of 2019 will be Sunday, June 2nd from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the elementary school auditorium. And do you have a box with you tonight, Mr. Lind? Yes, we do. Okay. The 8th grade science fair will be on Wednesday, June 5th, 5:30 to 7:30 in the high school cafeteria. The high school academic awards assembly will be Thursday, June 6th from 12:30 to 2 in the gym. And then the 8th grade step up and junior high award ceremony will be Friday, June 7th at 12:30. And then the step up dance is that evening at 6 o'clock, I believe. And high school final exams are the following week. And the last day of school is June 17th, as of now.
I think we're good.
And that's all
Don't
my,
jinx us.
Yeah, I know.
Don't jinx us.
and did I miss something?
You did miss something.
I didn't miss any events though?
No.
No, okay. I did want to mention that I will be resigning my position as the principal of North Brookfield High School to take a position as principal of East Hampton High School starting July 1. So I wanted to thank current and former members of the school committee for their unending support of the schools and for the work we're trying to do. I want to personally thank Mr. Lind for his support over the last 2 years, his 2 predecessors in the 7 years I've been here. It's been a terrific run. I really appreciate the support from the community all this time, and wish you all well, and thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Evans. Good luck.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Glazier is not here. He was not feeling well today. He came in and did MCAS, and then he thought he was going to be able to leave a little bit early, but MCAS ended at like 2:20, so I guess he got out about 10 minutes before school ended. He was really not feeling well, but muscled through in terms of getting MCAS done. Just to play off of what Mr. Evans said, the elementary K-3 concert, I believe, is tomorrow night in the auditorium at 6:30. 6:30 or 6? 6. 6 o'clock. As I mentioned, the elementary school is wrapping up MCAS. Boy, it's a lot for both schools. We did all computer-based testing at almost every subject and grade level. I think the only one left is science still? Science at the high school level?
Science 10th grade tomorrow for math,
Right,
and then
and
science 9th grade.
but that's paper. Everything else has been computer-based, which is pretty challenging, particularly for the younger kids, especially the 3rd graders who tested, I believe, today. It's just new, and it's challenging, and it's anxiety-provoking, besides the technical glitches that come up. But the kids did a great job. The staff was very supportive. Mrs. O'Hara, Mr. Glazier, all the folks who have made MCAS work. Thank you.
Can I just interject?
Jump in.
As a parent of a 3rd grader, so this was her first year taking MCAS. And the beginning of the year, she knew this was a big year and she was kind of nervous about it. But her teacher, Mrs. Marr, she was actually, by the time it was time to take the MCAS, my daughter was like looking at it like a challenge. She was ready to hit the road running. And then that was the ELA, and then the math one, she told me the night before the math one, she's like, yeah, we're all like, cool, math MCAS. So they were all, so I was a little worried that she was gonna be, really ramped up, but thanks to her teacher and the other staff as well, she took it in stride, so I hope that was the case with the other kids, so.
2 other quick things. The field day for the elementary school, which is a huge event, is scheduled for Monday, May 17th. It is going to be held rain or shine, and they do make plans if there is rain. Mrs. LaBelle has taken over as the parent coordinator of field day, and that's a big job. So if you can help her when she reaches out for help, please help. It's a lot of fun that day, but it's a lot of work to make it a memorable day. So if you can help out on the 17th, that would be great.
And you have your special job to do on that day, the box tops challenge.
Which job is that?
So the box tops
I don't
challenge.
recall. Did I sign anything on that?
The end of the box tops challenge.
Yes, I do. I get to be colored.
Yeah,
Colored a
we'll
rainbow of colors.
We'll invite some people to join you.
Excellent.
How long are they accepting them still? The box
Oh,
tops?
Oh, yeah.
she'll stay. Well,
That's money.
they take them anyway.
Well, I know, but for the final.
Probably the end of the month, probably.
And then just the last day for the elementary school is Wednesday, June 19th. It is also a half a day. Again, it is different from the junior senior high because of the power outage. You know, that pretty significant power outage after February break from the wind, and the elementary school is out 2 more days than the junior senior high. So that's the elementary update from Mr. Butch.
Mr. Buke?
So Special Olympics dinner and the main event happened last week. The Special Olympians have been practicing for about 2 months, every Wednesday night. So they were really excited to go out. We had a nice ceremony parading around the school and then out. The high school band was playing. We had a police escort. It was fabulous. It was raining and pouring, but the kids didn't care. Everyone had fun. It was a great day. So it was really cool to see the kids just have fun and take on that confidence, leadership, and all those great qualities of the day.
And thanks to all the P coordinators, staff, and volunteers who
Yeah,
helped
I
make it
want to
happen.
thank Katie Griffin and Ann Adams for pulling together the dinner. It was held at the Spencer Country Inn. And then I want to thank Gail Miller, Chris Servant, and all the staff members that volunteered for the practices to really make that happen. There's a lot of behind-the-scene work that goes into that, and that was, on their own time that they volunteered that. So thank you. And there were various parents as well. I can't name everybody, but everyone that helped with that to make it a success. Thank you so much. Also on the Student Services homepage that's on the school website, we've added some tabs as far as finding information for yourself if you're homeless, or if you know of a family that's homeless. There are resources on there to help get support for your students so that they can still access school and the curriculum during that time of need. And then also, if you have a student who has a medical restriction and cannot physically come to school, there's also information on there to help you access supports for the curriculum in that area as well.
So if you go to the school website, you look for the student services?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Also, so preschool schedule updates. We've been talking about many different scheduling. I've been talking to parents and staff. So our final schedule that we're going to roll out for next year, currently we offer 2 half sessions, 5 days a week. So next year we're going to be able to offer the 2 half-day sessions as well as 5 full-day sessions. So please get your applications in. It is a first-come, first-serve as far as the slots. So we'll be hoping to finalize that by the end of the month, early June, so we can have the schedules prepared for next year. And then our summer program schedule is set to run Tuesday through Thursdays, beginning July 9th and ending on August 8th. So those letters have gone out. If you have not yet returned those letters, please get those in as soon as possible so we can finalize those schedules as well. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Powers?
Thank you. So to expand a little bit on the PD plan for next school year, as I mentioned in my presentation about the PD pods. So this year at the junior senior high school, we rolled out a pilot of what we call PD pods, which are small cohorts of teachers who are working towards the same goal, same focus, respected to their own kind of their curriculum as well as what they're interested in learning more about. So we were able to offer 3 options for the PD pods that teachers signed up for. So really, one of the research really supports both choice and collaboration, so creating small groups and providing choice. So we got some very positive feedback from the staff about that, so now we are moving this district-wide. So all teachers and staff in the district will be able to choose from a handful of different options, and they're all listed in my report. So a couple of them are being led by teachers, so teachers who are interested in leading these PD pods will be contracting out with some consultants, and then some of them are more self-directed based off of kind of what the focus is. So you can see from the list that there's a wide variety of content, so reading and math and looking at project-based learning. There's a specific program for our paraprofessionals. However, our paraprofessionals can choose any of the pods. Previously, they've typically gone with their classroom teacher. But we're trying to provide as much choice to everybody. We're looking to move forward in a social emotional learning program called Breathe for Change. One of our teachers is going and getting trained this summer. It's yoga, mindfulness, meditation, and reflective practice in the classroom. So thinking about how to really ground students every day. Looking at co-teaching, restorative practices, and then blended learning, which is something we looked at this year a lot with our Edgenuity pilot. So that's continuing. So that's our PD focus for next year. It's kind of exciting because everyone's signing up now, so they'll know coming in next year what their focus is and be able to hit the ground running, and they'll have a cohort of teachers to work with them.
That's a cool way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. So I have posted a little bit on Facebook about this, but we got that nice huge printing press for the t-shirts from Baypath, and the company Ivory Ella, who gave to Baypath, who then gave to us. So if you see me walking around with blue or color paint all over my arms, Miss Jagir is out on leave, and she was kind of the leader of this screen printing press business. Her and Miss Davenport from the RISE program have been working to kind of create a small business. And so in her absence, I've been trying to help out as much as possible. But we are taking orders for t-shirts. We did the Special Olympic t-shirts from last week. And we're currently working on t-shirts for Madbrook, their end of year celebration. They reached out for t-shirts, so.
Do you have a minimum order?
Well, no.
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right.
We're also doing a fundraiser. We're selling 2 different t-shirts it's a fundraiser for supplies so that we can keep this going. And those fundraising orders are due Friday.
You don't happen to have to show what they look like, Dan?
No.
One is, it has a map of the town, or well, it has a map of Massachusetts and it's got I don't know what you call it.
Like the Google map.
Oh, Google Map sort of thing,
Pin
and thing
drop.
saying North Brookfield,
Drop, yes.
right there
Yeah.
in the middle. And then the other one has a sort of artistic feather thing
Yes.
that says North Brookfield, and then it has the name of the
Like a native
Mascot.
design
Yeah.
to it, yeah.
Indians.
It's
Yeah.
nice that you have the two.
And they're
options.
gray with purple ink.
They're
right?
gray, sport gray with deep purple ink, and they are $6 each or 2 for $10. A lot of people are going for the 2 for $10.
Well, I mean,
Why
yeah.
not, right?
It's
So,
pretty
again,
darn good
it's
competitive
that-
prices you got there.
Right, so this is just, again, a way for us to basically stock ourselves, so.
So just to clarify, this business that you're running, the idea is looking for groups, organizations that are looking for a way to print t-shirts. They can provide a design, they can ask us to help them with a design. If they provide their own blank t-shirts, we can print them.
And we can also order shirts
With
too,
them,
so.
we can order the t-shirts as well, so if you have a sports team, if you have a family vacation trip coming, wherever
Yeah,
you
to,
need
like,
to
say
learn.
the
I know,
Dominican
I went
Republic.
through that with my,
Yeah, no kidding.
with my wife saying, you should do that, and I said, no, we're not doing that. I guess we're doing it, because Mrs. Powers is gonna call my wife directly, apparently.
That's right.
But, anything that, you have a design and you want it done, we can do it really cheap. And they're beautiful. They come out great. I don't know if anybody's seen the Special Olympics team uniform shirts. We printed a bunch of shirts for
May Festival.
the May Festival that we provided to the folks who ran that. Some great stuff. So it's a great way, because it's a curriculum piece for us. And so we're not looking to, quote unquote, make money other than to be able to buy the supplies that we need to do it.
Right.
So,
So
great way
I-
to support local.
So both the art students and the RISE program students kind of coinciding, working with the RISE students are taking orders. And like when we get we're gonna submit the big order on Friday, they're gonna do a double count of everything. We're gonna make sure we have everything we need and then submit the order. So there's definitely a lot of life skills that go into the process.
And then printing the shirts themselves.
Yes, yes.
So, I know you had a newspaper coverage when the machine was first donated. Have you considered having them come and talk about this program and?
I haven't
Okay.
reached out yet, but
Okay.
I think once we get a little smoother, then I think, it'll be great.
Well, yeah, I mean, but also just that you are, that you're willing to print for small groups and stuff like that too.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And then the only other thing I have on my report that I wanted to just talk about is through our turnaround assistance grant at the high school, we've been looking at working with Edgenuity, which is an online curriculum that we've been talking a lot about in the school committee meetings. But we've also been able to not only get training from Edgenuity, the company, but from the academic director of the Village Green Virtual School, the school that Mr. Lynn, Mr. Evans, and I visited last year, who their entire focus is Edgenuity. That's their curriculum model. So Jolene Spencer has come up and spent a day with our teachers who are using Edgenuity in kind of a coaching model, and she's coming up again in about 2 weeks, again, to support our teachers, not only in just the software of Edgenuity, but what does it really look like to teach in a blended learning model. You know, it's a different, it's a lot more student-led, personalized, and so it is a different shift in the way you teach. So it's been really great to have her as not only someone who can come up and work with our teachers, but teachers have been able to reach out to her and ask questions. So hopefully we can continue that work with her throughout next year.
Thank you. So we have 2 other reports. Mrs. O'Hara's technology report, which is very short. Probably the most important thing is that the phone system in the elementary school is still down. And we have not heard if we are going to be awarded the grant that we applied to purchase a new phone system. And the elementary school main office is using their fax line for calls at the present time. And I know that they have posted that number in many different places if you need to get a hold of them. And then Mr. Shaw's report, which basically says that it rained a lot this spring. Big news. I don't know if anybody noticed. But they didn't have to cancel any games just due to rain. The Sheriff's Department is confirmed to come and paint the elementary school, which is great. Thanks to Sheriff Evangelides for accepting the request. His department is working on a capital plan and an extraordinary maintenance project list. These 2 lists will guide our department for the future and set a budget of those needs. These also go hand in hand with the upcoming school improvement plan. The final landscaping repairs took place after the roof project last week on the 15th. And he wants to thank those involved from the OPM team, from Skanska, the architect team from Dietz, our building inspector, John Kocher, and our GCMDM engineering for a job well done. Building looks great. It is more energy efficient and watertight. Well tested so far. And just basically they're getting ready for the kids to be gone and to clean the school this summer. And that is the end. So old business.
So FY20 budget update, we're status quo right now. We did hear from the Finance Committee that their recommendation is for the school department's budget to increase $120,000. That is obviously different from what the school committee's proposed budget increases, which is, I think it's $336,550. So there is a delta, a difference between those 2 numbers. Did speak to, email with Mr. Kiley, and they're getting together as more information comes out from the state, however slow it does come. Their spreadsheet finalized with all the numbers so that folks can get a full understanding of all the numbers and hopefully be able to work with the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee to come up with a number everybody can work with. It's a challenging time, we know, as Mrs. Millard and Mrs. Tucker talked about earlier at the state level. Hopefully something happens there, but I don't think we can count on it. It'd be nice if it does, but I think we got to be realistic and understand that that machinery goes very slowly, and so it may not benefit us right away, at least after the budget process. I know they're talking about into June and July for those kinds of decisions to be made on the new school funding formula. So we are where we are. We are making plans to address that gap through scheduling, through staffing, to try to get to a point where we can where we can come in with a balanced budget, which is what we need to do.
Yep.
So, we will continue on that path. It's very challenging because as a school, and like most schools, we're about 75% people. And when significant cuts need to be made, it's usually people. And that's honestly where we need to go. And that's unfortunate, but if we do need to cut, I think the majority of the, if they're major cuts, then it will be, unfortunately, personnel. And we're trying to work now to be prepared if that needs to happen. And never good news, never a good message at the end of the year when you're trying to close out positively, but there's also the realism that we need to operate with the budget that's been allotted through town meeting. So whatever that might be, we'll make it work and build the best program we can possibly build.
Any further talk or movement on a tri-board meeting?
No, I think
Before June
where, the last communications I had with the FinCom was when Tara was still communicating for the FinCom. I don't know if she's still a member now that she's clerk. I don't know if that counts anymore. But at last check, they were still waiting for information from the state about revenues. But they had recommendations. I just, I know Mr. Kyler was updating that information in his spreadsheet. So when that's available, he was going to forward it to us, and I think getting together makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the more we can work together across town boards, the better it is for the whole town.
So, any questions? I mean, we had the start of the town meeting. We now have the adjournment until June 14th. So, again, community June 14th at 7 o'clock?
7:30 actually, right?
7:30 for the adjourned.
So at 7:30 p.m. for the adjourned town meeting to continue. Was there anything before that?
No,
did we
7
agree?
Special town meeting at 7 or?
There was an issue that we were gonna try to address, so
Yeah.
there may be.
So keep an eye out for that. There may be a special town meeting at 7, but the adjourned town meeting where I think the major items are budget related for the town will be discussed and voted on. So 7:30 here at the elementary
And
school
we
auditorium.
will have babysitting available.
Babysitting will be available. Gonna have to tackle some kids on June 14th, the Friday night before the last day.
Oh,
but
no, they're gonna be
we'll get
there.
them. So that's the update where we are at with the budget. In terms of the second item, just an update. We did meet with the Board of Selectmen. I haven't met with you since Sheila, myself, and Elizabeth attended the Board of Selectmen meeting after our our April meeting where we approved a Special Education Stabilization Fund request. We went, the Board of Selectmen had a few questions which we were able to answer through email, but were there just in case there were any further follow-ups. There weren't, which was great, and it's approved. We do have another, obviously that line has been depleted, which is why we tapped into it. So there's another request tonight under new business. So that's the old business.
All right, so the next step we have is we have another large group of policies that are third and final reading, so these, we will be voting on them, so what we would do is do a motion and read through them, and then we will have a motion to second that. I don't think we need to read through them a second time, and then we will vote on them. So, but this constitutes about what, a half to 2/3 of the policy, right?
This is half of section B. The
Well, I
second
meant
half.
as the total.
Oh, we'll be about 2/3 done with all the sections.
Yep, so this is great, making great progress, because unfortunately, a lot of the policies were outdated. But Kristen, would you care to do the honors, or would you like to split
Sure,
it
I
with
can
me?
do it. I can do
All right.
it. Motion to approve the third and final readings for the following policies: BEDB agenda format, BEDB-E agenda format, BEDD rules of order, BEDF, voting method. BEDG, minutes. BEDH, public comment at school committee meetings. BEDH-E, guidelines for public comment. BEE, special procedures for conducting hearings. BG, school committee policy development. BGB, policy adoption. BGC, policy revision and review. BGD, school committee review of procedures. BGE, policy dissemination. BGF, suspension of policies. BHC, school committee staff communications. BIA, new school committee member orientation. BIBA, school committee conferences, conventions, and workshops. BID, school committee member compensation and expenses. BJ, school committee legislative program. And BK, school committee memberships.
We need a second.
I second.
So all in favor of accepting these policies for the policy manual?
Aye.
And I just want to add that these are all of these policies, the school committee policies, are available on the school website.
These will be tomorrow.
Right, so,
They'll be
right,
officially on.
but part of the update has been to create a Google Doc, so it's much easier to search everything and find the policies that you might be interested in. And if you are curious, you know, it is something that if you're interested in reading,
Thank
plenty
you
of
guys
reading
for
to do.
doing that.
All right, so moving on to new business.
So as mentioned previously, we have a special education stabilization account request included in your packet of the monthly bills for the unanticipated special education expenses. This request, if approved, needs to be forwarded to the Board of Selectmen for their approval. In your packet, you can see that it is to Neary School in the amount of $13,288, and then we have two transportation invoices, one $6,732 and one $5,544 for a total request of $25,564.88.
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question, because it's my first meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
So the breakout, general fund is coming from school budget, sped stabilization coming from the new, is that why this invoices are broken into two sections?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
On the warrant, the invoices have one total,
Yep.
but two line items, is that just because they're coming out of two different budget accounts?
So it's coming from the stabilization account, which is one account, but it then is assigned to a particular line. One is transportation, one is the tuition account, because they have to be documented for the accounting purposes to the right line item. One is for tuition and one is for transportation. Does that make sense? Am I answering your question?
Any other questions? Nope.
Need a motion?
Okay, so if we have no other questions, someone have a motion to,
I make a motion to approve
vendor warrant?
the vendor warrant for the stabilization account.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So
and
I
we
have the actual paperwork here that needs the original signatures. All 5 members on the front, and then all 5 members, 2 members on the warrant, because we have the space for the selectmen to sign as well. So pass that down.
Okay. So I
You
did
want me
have
to
a.
keep going? What?
Sure, I mean,
up
I
to you.
guess my suggestion is, do we wanna move this up?
Sure.
Just because then Mr. Kiley he's been generously
Patient.
giving us his time for the last hour.
Mm.
So we're gonna sign this and then we'll move up the North Brookfield Teachers Association MOA section. anybody want to sing a song while we're doing this?
I can introduce the MOA.
Sure, sounds good.
So as signing goes on, I just want to update everyone on the negotiations with the North Brookfield Teachers Association. So we began the process back in the winter, late fall into the winter. Mrs. Tucker, Mrs. Millard, and Mr. Kiley were the town representatives. We have our attorney, Kevin Bresnahan, joined myself and the three negotiating team members and worked with the Teachers Association representatives in negotiating team. I think we met a total of 6 times. One time as a ground rules meeting, 5 negotiating sessions that we held, and came to agreement, which is set in a memorandum of agreement that's in your packet. In the larger scope of things, the biggest item is always the financial impact. What was agreed to is a 2% raise in each of the 3 years of the contract. So 2, 2, and 2 is what you'll often hear. That means for the next school year, teachers will get a 2% cost of living raise. 2021, 2%, and 2022, a 2% increase. There are a number of other agreements that we came to. For example, there are some positions that sometimes require extra time, particularly during the summer. Guidance counselors, nurses, adjustment counselors, those types of positions. So there's some language to make that possible. We've increased the number of after-school meetings over the next couple of years. It'll go from the current number, it'll increase by, I think, 4 total over the next 3 years, incrementally, which will really support professional development. Many of our stipend positions have not been updated in years, so those will be updated in terms of not only a salary increase, but also the creation of a committee to maintain and manage those. And I think those are the big items. There are some small language changes that I could bore people with, but won't. And I think it was definitely a positive experience. I know in the past, in other districts, sometimes negotiations get really challenging and difficult, and I'm not going to say that it was perfect, but I think it was just well done by both sides, trying to be reasonable, but obviously advocating from the Teachers Association side for the teachers and from the school committee side for the town. But I think both had each other in mind, even though their main goal was obviously their stakeholder group. So it was a very positive process. So with that, we'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
All right, does anyone have any questions about this? We've all had a chance to review it.
I have a question.
Yep.
Just for comparison's sake, what was the raise percentage, the 3-year contract prior?
1.5.
I think we did 1.5, 1.5, and a 2. I think there was 2 1.5s and a 2 in there.
And the prior one, I believe, was also, I think it was just 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, so. Any other questions?
I'd also just like to highlight the open house at the elementary school level. And it's already scheduled, right?
There's a date for it already.
There's a date. Just as a reminder, Mr. Kiley, as the town representative, is actually a member of the school committee for this vote. So there'll be a 6th voting member for this MOA.
Okay. So, Ms. Maggio, it's something I think that if you are uncomfortable because this is your first meeting, you can feel free to
think I'm
abstain.
gonna abstain.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you.
So,
Motion.
yes, so I need a motion to, accept the MOA from the North Brookfield Teachers Association.
I motion to accept the MOA.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
And the town is opposed.
Okay.
So I have the original, which Mr. Surratt has signed, and if the committee members could sign it, that would be great.
Today's the 20th, right?
Today is 5/20, yep.
So, as we're signing that, Mr. Kiley, your business here is done, but feel free to stick around. It's always great to have public participation. Mr. Minucci is here. He's our candidate to replace our interim Director of Special Services, Mrs. Dubuque, and she did a wonderful job this year. And we appreciate all her hard work. And although we'll be sad to see you go,
But she won't be going far.
right, she'll be
Which is a
returning
good
to her
thing.
position with fourth to sixth grade, right? Yeah.
So, Mr. Minucci, Mr. Mark Minucci is here this evening. Thank you. As was the, right, did I give you the whole thing?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. So Mr. Minucci is here. Mr. Minucci is from Sturbridge, but he, for the last 11 or 12,
In my 11th year.
11th year, has been at Fitchburg High School, working as, among other things, a teacher, a lead teacher, coordinator, I mean, all the jobs along the way, and is now the program administrator, which is a one-word way to say he gets all the really fun jobs. Now, he is the team chair, he's the program coordinator, he works with teachers and students directly, works with parents, coordinating a 1,200 student high school program, including the transition from the middle schools, their 18 to 22-year-old program, their preschool program. So he has a full range of experiences and has worked over the last 11 years to put himself in this position to become a director. He's also a transfer from the business world in a previous life before he went into education. And I think it's really important to share. I called his references, and I think that the best reference he can ever get from anybody, and I got it from all three folks that I spoke to, was, boy, I'd really love to tell you that this guy is terrible, but I can't, because I would hate to lose him. That's why they want to tell you that. His principal, the two assistant principals he works with were, his principal actually said something that stuck with me. He said, any great program we have in this building, Mark has had a hand in building, if not being the lead architect and builder. So that's pretty high praise. So very excited to bring him before you as the school committee, who ultimately have the hiring authority in this case for this position. We had an extensive search. We had a 10-person search committee. We conducted a number of interviews. We had a site visit, got a lot of great feedback from folks. No one doubts his ability. The only, if you want to call them negatives that came back, was Mark really doesn't know North Brookfield. But coming from the outside, he doesn't yet. But again, one of the things he said, and one of the things that I got feedback on, is he will immerse himself in your community. And so I think we're all excited about that. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mark. And Mark, if you want to, besides anything I missed in terms of an introduction, feel free to introduce yourself to the committee. And
Sure.
So you step in
Yeah,
front of the
the mic,
microphone there.
yeah.
So actually, if I could take off something that Monique said, as student program service coordinator, just today I had to meet with a McKinney-Vento student So I'm gonna tell you, I don't know everything, and I don't think anybody does, but this particular student lost her insurance because of being homeless. So I got on the phone to the mayor's office and was able to kind of coordinate and get her with the right people. So I think, like, if that's the thing that I'm willing to do, this process I think was really thorough, and to me that was very important because I had an opportunity really to get to know your district, not completely, but to know enough about it. And I think you all got an opportunity. I know Maria and Ruth came to a couple of the sessions and asked me some really good questions. I thought I was very impressed with the questions you asked me. But I think it's given me the opportunity to kind of get to know you. And one of the things, there's a lot of things that impressed me, but the thing that really was kind of glaring is that people here are willing to kind of roll up their sleeves and get the job done. And I saw that across the board. I mean, I saw a lot of really good things, but to me, that's really important. It's important for me to do that. I want to be in a community where I'm going to make a difference, where I'm not going to be sitting in an office, just pushing paper, that I'm actually going to get into the community and make a difference. And I think that's what you'll get from me. So I'm honored that you have taken me this far, and I feel really good about North Brookfield. I don't know everything about North Brookfield, but I do live in Sturbridge, so I'm not all that far away, and I'd like the opportunity to work with y'all.
So I did have a question, actually. I was just curious, because you went from economics to education, so
Sure.
what drove that change?
It's actually somewhat of a personal story. So I think I might have told you, though, I ended up getting a divorce 13 years ago. So when that happened, though, one of the things, I always wanted to be a teacher. That was kind of my burning passion. And when I was younger, the money motivator was more important to me. But after I went through the divorce, I made a conscious decision that this is the road I'm going to go down. I'm going to make the shift, and that really was the impetus. Now, some of you, I think I told you, Maria, that one of my children has autism. So years ago, I was involved, before anyone even knew what ABA was. We were involved with getting Princeton to come down and work with the family and work with the district. So I've always had that kind of background, and then when circumstances dictated the ability to make the change, I started taking classes at Fitchburg State, and I had a professor that was at Fitchburg High School. There was an opening. He told me to go ahead and apply for it. I did, and kind of the rest is history, if you will.
Did you go through that program that the state had set up for professionals transitioning to education?
I went through a similar program, and actually it was actually very good for me because it allowed me to get it paid for. So I did a similar program,
Okay.
though for urban schools. So at the time, basically, urban schools, they needed special educators, so they had a grant that if you agreed to stay at least 3 years in the district, that you would have your master's paid for, and I was able to do that, which was fantastic. And Fitchburg State was a great opportunity. I mean, I still have really good relationships there that were started when I was a student, both working and going to school.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Did anyone else have any questions?
Thank you.
I guess just part of the conversations we had when I went to the parent forum was, your experience as a parent of a child that has special needs, I guess, and just using that. I mean, and how you did a nice explanation for that, or perspective for that.
I mean, really, I think it is relationship driven. I mean, one of the questions was asked, how do you draw parents in? And I really do think, I mean, one of the things I've worked really hard at in Fitchburg is becoming part of the community, so that if you make that personal touch, it goes a long ways. I mean, that to me, there's no magic solution other than the communication piece. I think is so vitally important. Parents want to know that they're being communicated to, that there's an open dialogue, that they have opportunity to speak about their student and their students' needs. So I really think you do have to lay that groundwork, and I think it is a lot of work to get accepted into the community. And I think when you do, but you also have to, you know, make personal phone calls. It's not, you can't just send out flyers, you can't just do what everyone else is doing. You have to get that personal touch, I really believe that. And I mean, that's one of the things I've strive to do in Fitchburg, and I think I've done a real good job. It's, you know, it's a very, very diverse community that is, there's a large Hispanic population, there's a large African American population. So it's important to have that communication, to be visible, and to really walk the walk. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of people can talk the talk, but you actually have to get out and do it. And that's my philosophy, that's how I operate.
And so, speaking of communication, this past year, Mrs. Dubuque started a Facebook page for the special, the student services department. And how do you feel about using Facebook?
Yeah, I think there's a definite place for Facebook, and at Fitchburg High we use it, and we use it a lot. We also use Twitter. We tweet out.
I should say social media as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, let's face it though, it's become the mode of communication for a lot of people, so we can't ignore it. We have to embrace it. We have to figure ways to utilize it so that we can utilize it effectively. And it's, I mean, there's a lot of people on Facebook, a lot of people in this community, I'm sure, are on Facebook, so it's an important piece. And it's also, I talk about celebrations. I mean, Facebook is a great way to show celebrations, things that are going on, and really celebrate the good things that are going on in a school or a district as a whole. It's a real good way to do that. So, yeah, I would embrace that thoroughly.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what we're going to do is we're going to have a very brief executive session so that we can discuss Mr. Minucci, and then we'll come back and we'll vote. So Ruth here's got the paperwork for us.
I move to go into executive session to consider Mark Minucci's application for employment and then to reconvene in open session.
Do we have a second?
A second.
So this is one of the ones where we have to do our names, so.
Madam Secretary, you can call that.
Sure, I can go first. Kristen DePass, yes.
Elizabeth Malad, yes.
Ruth Lampton, yes.
Debbie Maggio, yes.
Maria Tucker, yes.
All right, so at this point, other than the school committee and myself, everybody can step out. Camera needs to be shut off for a few moments.
Mhm.